opportunity for me here is not just to immerse myself in watching a lot of films from the classic film period, but it's to do it with you.
I think one of the great things about people that love movies getting together and talking is the fact that you can disagree. And what's right for you might not be right for me, but we can both have our opinions, and we can both love movies.
For God's sake, Mrs. Robinson. Here we are, you got me into your house, you give me a drink, you put on music, now you start opening up your personal life to me and tell me your husband won't be home for hours.
So?
Mrs. Robinson, you're trying to seduce me. Aren't you?
1967, The Graduate and Bancroft, Dustin Hoffman, Katharine Ross, directed by Mike Nichols. I think this is an essential film from the standpoint, for me, not so much of the movie, but when it was made, the way it pushed the envelope, the way it did so tap into what a lot of people were feeling and wanting, and kind of enough against the establishment back then, when everybody was kind of against the establishment, or the younger people were anyway, and it really struck a chord with a lot of people.
Yeah. Nichols is someone who is a legend in the film community in terms of his wit and his intelligence. He's this acutely bright guy. The Graduate is a great example of, like other even more obscure films like Putney Swope and so forth, where the society, Nichols identifies that the society needs some place to put their anxiety during this period. There's a war going on. That period from 63 to 68 is one of the most convulsive periods in American history.
Right.
So there's a political stripe to a lot of what Mike's work, and certainly a very adroit social commentary. And this film is very, very smart in helping people to kind of channel that anxiety around 1967.
Yes, I do.
It's like I've been playing some kind of game, but the rules don't make any sense to me. They're being made up by all the wrong people. No. I mean, no one makes them up. They seem to have made themselves up.
What's your feeling about Dustin Hoffman in his career?
I think it's been an interesting career that he's had. He's never been one of my favorite actors, but I've always had a certain affection for him because of this film, and I thought he was wonderful in Midnight Cowboy and some of the things that came later. But I give him a lot of credit for surviving in an industry where I think he's a very kind of a hard fit for many parts.
This is considered Hoffman's first leading role in a film, and it was a huge success for him. And he went on soon thereafter to work with Schlesinger and make Midnight Cowboy, which was a really, really important performance. But then in the subsequent years, he would do films like Kramer versus Kramer and Tootsie. And right when you think Hoffman's kind of gone away and his better years are behind him, he comes back, and he's done great work on the stage. He had this very celebrated production of Death of a Salesman on Broadway, where he played the Willie Loman character. Hoffman is a great actor.
Did you get us a room?
What?
Have you gotten us a room yet?
I haven't, no.
Do you want to?
Well, I don't. I mean, I could. Or we could just talk.
You want me to get it?
You? Oh, no, I'll get it.
Do you want to get it now?
Now?
Yes.
Well, I don't know.
Why don't you get it?
Why don't I get it? Well, I will then, if you'll excuse me.
So many of these people that we respect and do this great work, Dustin Hoffman being one, certainly you talk about Mike Nichols and everything, they're all people that kept going back to the theater in between. Like Mike Nichols, you talk about his great film career, but he also, all that time, was still having this great career in the theater.
Regularly.
Directing things all the way up to Spam-A-Lot recently, and, you know,
The Country Girl. He did the production of Country Girl just last season.
So he's, you know, and Dustin Hoffman kept going back to the theater, did Death of a Salesman in the theater as well, and other things.
Well, these are people that come from New York, that are working in New York.
Right. Frederick March, the same.
Pacino. These are people who, they weren't going to wait around for Hollywood to call, because it was pretty unlikely Hollywood was going to call.
Right.
You know, Hollywood was going to call Paul Newman. They were going to call Brad Pitt.
Or if Hollywood called, it might not be parts they wanted to play,
exactly.
So they find them in the theater.
Exactly. The real opportunities for them as actors existed as much in the theater as they existed anywhere else. But I think it's also interesting to mention that Anne Bancroft is only 7 years older than Hoffman in this role.
Yeah, not too much the older woman.
Right, not too much.
And they kept saying Doris Day was offered the part and turned it down, but, you know, I think that would have been a totally different movie. Yeah. Let's have a look. Here's a movie from 1967 that's truly an essential, The Graduate. Wonderfully directed movie. And you worked with Mike Nichols in Working Girl, right? What
I
was
had
he
a
like to
small
work
part.
with?
Right? Well, you know,
Well, he had a very prominent part in
well, I
that.
had a small part in this film, and I've known him off and on, you know, just fleetingly in the business. But I mean, Nichols remains someone who the opportunity to him is a great opportunity because there's a chance you're going to make a great film. My favorite film of Mike's is the movie Silkwood, because the dramatization of that, I mean, I have a kind of a political bent. It might be the kind of movie you've told me. It might not be your main meat because it's so political and so kind of glaringly so. Mike is very, when it comes to, you know, Lean was ambitious in terms of the scope,
Right.
and in terms of the mission of the film, so to speak, like a kind of a military campaign. And from my mind, Nichols typically is very ambitious up here. He wants
Right.
to get people thinking he did Catch-22.
Right. But every once in a while, the sense of humor comes out, too. He does the birdcage. He does Postcards from the Edge.
No one's funnier than Mike.
Yeah, exactly.
No one's
But he
funnier
lets
than
that
Mike.
show, which
In terms
I
of
love.
directors,
But
yeah,
I did
he's-
find, you know, you talk about Silkwood. I found that a very entertaining film. You know, it's very dramatic and everything like that. But the way he tells it, it's like a murder mystery can be very entertaining in many different ways. And I found it very entertaining. When I talk about entertainment, I'm also talking about what I object to as a movie, or not object to, but what gives me a pause before putting money down to go see it is something like No Country for Old Men or There Will Be Blood, where it's just kind of unrelentingly difficult to sit through because of it's
For you?
For me.
Well, thank God I'm here, or we wouldn't be showing No Country for Old Men 25 years from now, would we?
We might.
Okay.
I might be entertained by it by then. Who knows? Here's a preview of the film we have for you next week, right here, Alec and myself on The Essentials. James Cagney stars as a psychotic criminal with a king-sized Oedipus complex who is ready to explode at any moment.
That battery is dead. It'll have company.
Virginia Mayo, Edmund O'Brien, and Steve Cochran also star in this dynamic crime drama directed by Raoul Walsh. It's the 1949 sizzler, White Heat. That's next Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can find out more on our website, tcm.com. Thanks for joining us for The Essentials.